Excuse me, don't throw your stamps. Told you I was class. Hello, pottery friends. Today I'm going to show you my process of creating bisque stamps inspired by these beautiful hand-carved block print stamps. I've already made a few. You saw them in a previous video, and a lot of you said, oh, could you show us? So yeah, I'm going to show you right here and right now. As you can see, these stamps are carved, which gives them the relief that will print into your clay. I think these are originally made for block printing on fabric, and I'm not going to carve them. I'm going to create the texture with slip. So the first thing that we need to do is make some slip. I have here a bucket of my completely dried out trimmings, and the fastest way to create a slip is to start with dry clay, because where there's no water, water can be sucked up. There is a technical term for that. It eludes me at the moment. And if you use wet clay, it will take longer for it to get really saturated. I've seen people using wet clay that shove it in a blender with warm water. Works as well. I'm going to pour some water on top of this, and then it has to slake. And I'm going to put just as much water in there that something like that the slip, oh, you can see. Well, you have to believe me, the slip, the dried pieces are just below the water. That's all I'm going to do, and I'm leaving this to slake for a while. I won't have you watch me all the time for that to slake down. I mean, that's going to take a little while. So I'll be back when that is done, and then I'm going to sieve it. Slip I slake down. Not true. I had it prepared. But don't tell anybody, because I never prepare. I have some slip here, nice and gooey. Oh, that's not slaked down. See, even my preparing isn't prepared. Doesn't matter. I have it in this thing, because this one is one that fits, where my sieve fits perfectly on. I am going to use 100 mesh sieve. 100 mesh. And I'm going to get some water, because I'm going to make it a little bit thinner, so it's easier to get through my sieve. And I need to clean that first. I'll be right back. There we go. And a dishwasher brush thing. I use 100 mesh sieve because it makes the slip so smooth. It has hardly any lumps and things anymore. And if you want to be slip trailing, because that's how I'm going to make those stamps, you don't want lumps and things in there, because they will clog up your tip, and that is very annoying. For sieving, you can use a squeegee, which works. I think this works best. Just a brush You've all made slip before, right? You know, I thought I'd show you, but you know how this works. This is the time for mindless stirring, mud, maybe meditation, maybe a good book. That's how I do it. I do make it a bit thin because that makes it easier to go through. And yeah, I'll be back when I'm done. Didn't even get through the next chapter of my book. 5 minutes, you know. And it's very, very watery and way, way, way too thin to use for slip trailing. So it's another moment of waiting. I will just set that aside and let that evaporate the natural way. If I know I'm going to be slip trailing and I need slip, I know I have to make it in advance. So that's how I make my slip. If I make bigger batches of slip, like when I make them for my colored slips for my sgraffito, I do it the same way. But I might use a bigger bucket, and just put it on the wheel, let it turn, and la-di-da-di-da, you know. So yeah, this will be the right consistency after it's been settling and I can take the water off, or just wait until it's good. Another patience moment. Of course, I already have made some. Amazing, so prepared. I use these little tiny bottles. Yep, it's green. There's lots of things living in there. Hope they have a happy life. They are gonna get dizzy because I'm shaking it up. Now, the consistency of your slip is important. And I'm going to show you, hopefully. But for that, I'm going to get you close up so you can see better. Okay? I'll be right back. I keep my slip in, well, whatever jar this one was from cookies, as long as they close well. And I'm going to try my slip, and I usually use the lid. Let me clean that lid a little bit. Where's my, here. Like I said, I have these tiny bottles. I like smaller bottles, easier to handle. I think these are from Big Blick in the US. I don't know. These are the ones that you have to cut off the tip, but does not always work for me. I have these. I have all sorts of tips that are small. I'm now looking for the right one. That looks fine. Come on, go in there. And this will fit on here. And now I can test whether my slip is too thick or too thin. I always use the lid so I can, you know, don't have to waste it. I mean, it's almost nothing, but that looks perfect. Now, sometimes when your slip, oh, hold on, the big car, there we go. Oh, and another one. Sometimes your slip will create this, let's see if I can, no, because this is the right consistency. It will create a little tip, which can get sharp. You can After it's dried leather hard, you can make that softer again with a little sponge or something like that. But it just means that your slip is a little bit too thick. I go about that a drop of water at a time. I will shake it up, I will open it up, I'll take my spray bottle, spritz only one time or maybe even less. As little as possible, shake it up again, because if it gets too fluid, you won't be able to create lines. It will just, you know, do that. I think I have a clog, a lump somewhere. Oh no, no, it's fine, it's fine, it's fine. And if you need to take a break, where are we? I don't know if it will fit. Put a needle or pin in there. This one doesn't even fit. It's that small. But this way it won't dry out. Or just that way. Okay, let's get to the stamp making. I have zoomed you in even closer, and I'm going to put on a piece of paper so my clay doesn't stick. I don't know, is this in the picture? No, not really. I have a thick slab right here. You can hear me ruffling the plastic. I had it in plastic. I'm going to cut a piece off so you can see. There we go. Look at that. That's a thick slab. That is at least a centimeter. Let me measure it for you. Oh, I have to lift it because this one doesn't start at 0. It's so annoying. This is 1.3 centimeters. The other side says inches. Let me see. I have to find a spot where it's not rusted. Oh my word. This is, wow, half an inch. And this is the end result approximately. You know, just for sturdiness, I like it that way. Let's wrap up the rest of my slab. I like to work with something like this where I'm slip trailing and it needs to stay on there, which slip trailing always has to, right? I like to work, well, as wet as possible because the slip is thinner and it's going to dry and shrink more than the clay. So straight from the bag is what I mean. Let me put back on my tip on my bottle. I had put it in water, but it's already clogged. Yes, slip trailing can be extremely annoying because even if you have your slip sieved through 100 mesh, it is probably going to clog every now and then. There we go. Let's put this on. And I have to test it first. I had lunch, you know, so I had a break. Let's see. Yeah, it's fine. Now, I mean, the idea is simple. You just draw whatever you want with the slip on your clay, let it dry, bisque fire it, and you have a stamp. Easy peasy, right? Yep. That's a birdie. Here's a border one. There is a trick to get your slips to flow, and I'm going to show you, and I'm I'm going to show you something else first. Hold on, there. I have all these little papers here, little designs. They're blowing in the wind, so to speak. Okay, let me grab my, this is a rubber tip tool, which I like very much for the initial drawing, because it doesn't make a sharp indent in my clay. Let's start simple. I like Celtic symbols. I drew a triquetra, and I'm just going to put it on the clay. This, by the way, is the baking paper from your kitchen. You can draw on it, and it holds up a little bit longer than newspaper if you want to transfer designs. I'm putting it on there, and with that rubber tip tracing my design. And it's on there. I hope you can see it, but it's very, very lightly on there. And now I'm going to trace that with my slip. Here we go. The trick is not to put the tip of your, I want to say spout, but you know the point, on your clay. Hover a little bit above and let the slip fall. Let it just drop. And I'm hovering above my clay. And I'm hovering above my clay. Here we go again. Whoops. That's the good thing about this. And gone it is. Always shake, that's what I didn't do. Shake your slip down into your bottle so you don't have an air bubble in there. And that's what just happened. See how I'm letting it fall into place and not really pushing it. I'm not touching my slab. And I didn't shake my, you have to do that every time. Now this could be done, although I sometimes like a deep indent in my clay texture wise, so I don't know if you can tell. Let me see if there's one it's easier to see. Is it this one? Maybe you can see, I don't know, but these are 2 rows of slip. So I will set this aside, let it stiffen up just a little bit, and I'll go over it again. I'm going to try that right now. I am too impatient to wait. I'm just going for a 2nd row, which makes this higher, and therefore you can create a deeper texture. Now, if you start doing this, I warn you, you are going to want to make stamps all day, every day, really, because once you get the hang of this, the possibilities are endless. I have it on paper because now it doesn't stick on here, but also because I can now take it off, and I'm going to cut around it when this has stiffened up a bit. And I want to handle the slab as little as possible, so I want them to dry flat, and I hardly have any boards that are still flat. So I lift it up and I'm going to put it in Jimmy, you know, my fridge that I use to keep my pieces, just let them dry slowly, because that fridge has of course glass shelves and they are absolutely flat. Let's do another one. Set this on aside. You can, if you want to, before you start tracing, soften the edges a little bit. I'm going to cut around it, so it's, for me, well, maybe not. Maybe I'll leave this like this. Yeah, then I'll do it now. Or I'll do that later when the slip trailing has dried. Is it fitting? Yeah, it fits. A very simple flower design. I always have, oh, I already did it, have trouble keeping the leaves sort of kind of similar, so that's why I drew it first. You can do, of course, do this totally freehand, right immediately on your plate. But if you have a little bit more of a complicated design, or like me, you cannot for the life of you draw both the left and the right side of a petal on a flower the same way. That's why I have this. Here we go again. Shake it. I will start in the center, hover above. Oh, it's a bit fluid. You see that? My slip could have been just a tad bit thicker. And an air bubble. This is just what it is, people. Practice with your slips. You know, you can experiment with thicknesses. I now have a very thin tip, very small one. You can vary that, of course. And I almost always do this on a banding wheel because, you know, I'm left-handed and I don't want to have to go over my work or over what I have already slip trailed to go there on the other side. I'm a klutz. I will smear it for sure. So I will always make sure that my hand, if I can, it's not always possible, that my hand is sort of kind of free and not hovering over what I already trailed. There's another one. I'm going to set this aside and wait for the second layer. I'll do that in a second. Let's try another one. And that, well, you know, that's it, people. That really is it. Let's do one that's a little bit more complicated. Let's go for a paisley. I wanted a paisley, a smaller one than I already have, to hopefully make nice combinations. Cutting out my clay. There we go. Again, tracing it. I'm only going to trace the two paisley shapes, and the rest I will freehand in, hopefully. There we go. shake it up every time. Get it all down there to avoid bubbles, air bubbles. I try when it's a little bit bigger. I try to go all in one go, so to speak. I try not to divide it up, so I will try to go from here to there, and then turn it, and then from there. It doesn't always work, but I try to. You see how I was hovering above and not touching my slab? You see how I was hovering above and not touching my slab? No, oh. There we go. Now, because this is fluid slip, if you put something in between, like these two lines, they will sort of kind of automatically connect. They will do that. I don't know what the word is. But you will see it. You will see it. They sort of flow into each other. And again, I'm not touching it with my tip. I'm hovering above and just laying this in there. Yeah, my slip could have been a little thicker, but just a little, because I don't want to have to deal with all those sharp pointy bits. What did I draw? I think I did some. Okay. Let's see if we can get that in there. I don't know. Maybe not. No, I have to change it. Okay. Let's set this one aside, go back to the flower. And go for the second row. Just right on top. If you use a slip trailer with a wider opening, you probably don't have to do that. It might already be thick enough for it to become a good stand. There we are. And yeah, people, that's it. That's how I make these. I'm going to do one more. Need some clay for this one. Oh, and a piece of paper. A leaf. Excuse me, let's check it. Nope. I don't want to go like that. So I want this thicker, which automatically happens sometimes. And if I press a little less, I get a thinner line, which might be nice, but it's also not as high as the rest. So I'm going to have to, if I want these thinner, I'm going to have to probably do 3 layers instead of 2 to get it all at the same height. So you need the same height, approximately at least. Oh, I'm clogging. To get a good impression. And I'm not going to do that. I will be checking them later if they don't have too much difference in height. I can still adjust. This one gets its second layer. Goedemiddag. Ik was even geconcentreerd. Ik kom eraan, ik kom eraan. That was an interruption. Somebody at the gate, never mind. Took a while. And now these have already dried a little bit. What I did off camera was to cut the rest of the clay around away, because why would it be there? And I have softened just with my fingers, or well, I have with this one anyway, just like that, just with my fingers. I have softened the edges just for comfort for when I'm using it later. Now what I'm going to do is take a good look at it and see if, let me see how I can hold it up so you can see what I mean, like that. I want to see if the slip part is sort of kind of level. Doesn't have to be perfect for me. And I can tell with this one, I hope you can too, that the middle is just a tad bit higher than the outside. Now I could correct that by putting on another layer. It is so minuscule, it's difficult to show you, that I call this one done. I have 2 layers of slip. I think it's thick enough, and this one is just going to be, yeah, set aside. Oh, excuse me, don't throw your stamps. Told you I was a klutz. Just going to be set aside to dry. And I will go through the other ones as well. I have, this flower is now also a bit cut to size. I will soften the edges a bit. That's all. It's just for comfort. And I'm going to, the other one I did already. This one I didn't, so I need my glasses. I'm going to see if there are many, or maybe not so many, humps and bumps, and just a little bit, I'm fine with that. This one I call okay, set aside to dry. I think I need to do something with these. I have cut around the leaf. I'm now softening the edges. All right. I think the veins need one more layer because they are not sticking out or are not as high as the outline. So I'm going to give those one other layer, and then this one's good as well. And this one, that's the paisley. You can see that where these little small lines are, I hope you can tell, these are giving little bumps. See that? I don't really mind it, but if you don't want that, let me check how soft this is. You can very carefully, because it's still soft, just push them down. Can you tell the difference? It's now almost all sort of kind of level except for this one. Don't want to push too hard and don't want to flatten them too much. And now I'm happy with this one. I will soften the sides later when I do the leaf. Let me show you with the other stamps that I already have made what it would look like if you use them. So I will do the camera switcheroo thing. There we are. This is just a normal slab, this time not too thick, not too thin. And I'm going to use the ones that I have already made and fired. These are bisque fired. And oh, let me show you. I think it's not a bad idea to stick them in the glaze firing as well, because all the things that stick out are a bit fragile. And as you can tell, I have lost one of these, two of these pips. I don't really worry about it, but I think it's okay to, if you have room in the glaze firing, put them in the glaze firing. Makes them a little bit stronger. And, well, I mean, it's a stamp. And that's how a stamp works, right? Now, you can tell the pips that I'm missing. And if it's really off in levelness, that's when you will, that's something you can see. If you apply even pressure, you can tell that here it's a little bit less, because this has shrunk and is at a lower level. So keep track of your stamps while they are drying. Again, I don't really worry about it. I don't mind things being not perfect. And you know, when you make more of these stamps with the slip trailing, you get better at that. And you know, look at that one. That there, everything is just right because everything is level. Let's see about this one. You see over there? It's a little bit lower. Let me check. Yeah. What about this one? Right there in the middle. Just a tad bit less impression than there. And I have one more. I think that was me pressing. Not the same. No, still there. So that's it. Oh, I have, this is the carved one. Let's see that one. Ooh. That's nice. I actually have never used this. Nice. It does stick though. Did you see that? And of course, these do not stick. Yeah, I guess that's it, folks. That's it. That's how I make these stamps with slip trailing. You can, of course, also, oh, I'm just thinking of some of my stamps. Where are they? Hold on. I found them. Hold on. I found a few more in a quick search. This is, instead of a slab, more of a square kind of thing. I did slip trailing on this side and on this side, so I have two stamps in one. Here's another one, just a thick round sort of button kind of thing. This is slip trailed and this is slip trailed. And I did this, and this was inspired by a video, a very old video from Ceramics Network or something on YouTube. This was with a coil. I just added a very thin coil to a slab. Works as well. And this is what I was thinking about. I had made this one sort of kind of starburst with slip trailing. I bisque fired it, and then I made its opposite. So I now have an innie and an outie to combine in the work. So this one is an innie, will give you an outie where glazes will break over. This is an outie which will give you an innie in which glazes will pool. Is that fun? I hope this inspires you to create your own stamps. You can of course also carve in somewhat drier clay if you like carving, and then it would be more like this. Of course you can. I like to work with slips, as you know, so this is my way. I hope you like it. If you have questions, don't hesitate to ask. I will always try to respond and answer your questions. And I guess I will see you in the next video. Be kind to yourself and to others. Bye bye.